Hi! So in case you're watching this as part of the Sonichu playlist on the channel, first of all, thank you for that. Second of all, you might be wondering, what the hell is going on right now? Suddenly the video quality is better, the audio quality is better, Ryza no longer looks like a pale starving orphan, and he doesn't sound as much as if his balls haven't dropped yet. And there's a very easy explanation for that. The explanation being that I initially promised that once we reached 10,000 subscribers, I was gonna cover the rest of Sonichu. And lo and behold, we did manage to reach 10,000 subscribers. And just for the record, the idea was that when I reached 10,000 subscribers, I was gonna cover the rest of Sonichu, 100,000 subscribers, and I was gonna cover the rest of Les Lindas, and when I reached 1 million subscribers, I was gonna cover assigned mail. We are not gonna cover assigned mail because you people clearly showed that you are not mature enough to have that conversation. When you started to correct me for using Christine's real legal name and decided to correct me and say that I should use her online alias. Anyway, as I said, I have now finally reached 10,000 subscribers, and I'm over the bloody moon for that. Sure, it's taken me 10 times the time it takes most YouTubers to get there, but I see it as a win to get there all the same, especially when it comes from covering such a niche market such as webcomics. So again, thank you so much for your support. It legit means the world to me. Anyway, because I'm a man of my word, we are now diving back into the cesspool that is Sonichu, and before we do that, I need to clean house a little bit. First of all, no, it's not me who can't count. I know the last real video I did about this said issue 11, and now we're about to cover the actual issue 11. The reason for that is because back in the day, the site I used to read and download the Sonichu comic from fucked up the numbers without me realizing, so the numbers got all wonky. The second thing is that I'll no doubt be referencing a bunch of happenings that has taken place in the author Christine's real life, because this comic is so tightly woven into her real life. If you at any point are wondering what I'm referring to, I have an entire video on this channel dedicated to compartmentalizing the happenings of Christine's life for this very purpose alone. So most of my narration and jokes are gonna come with the assumption that you have watched that last video. And lastly, because the actual latest video on Sonichu was the Christmas special where I tried to be cute with rhyming and stuff, we are just gonna cover that one again, most of all because at the time it wasn't the full thing, and it'll be a great way to get us started. So grab your alcohol, say a little prayer, and welcome back to hell. Welcome back to Sonichu. So when we last left the colorful world of Sonichu, an all-out war had broken out and Christine was basically just cleaning up every slight the world had thrown her way, such as bringing down an office building and killing everyone in it, defeat her nemesis Night Cirque in a battle totally not lifted from an actual Sonic comic, and also finding the cure for being gay. I'll be real, when I remembered back on the comic, all I was thinking about was the whole crushing pickles and me making fun of Angelica being the Antichrist, not all of this unfortunate stuff. Anyway, I guess that's been wrapped up with a nice little bow, and it's now Christmas, or rather, it's December 12, 2018, and we're checking in on the Sonichu family. You gotta love how Christine clearly intended for this frame to fit up here, but its scaling didn't fit, so she opted to just draw the grass and blue sky with Photoshop, even though she has been adamant in not using computers at any point during her creative process. Also, I remember mentioning this in my Christmas special, but I feel it bears repeating, but if this is indeed in the middle of December, why do all of the trees have leaves on them? Anyways, inside, oh boy. Okay, this might actually become an issue. You see, Christine hadn't transitioned yet at this point and had thus named Sonichu and Rojaru's daughter Christine. So, in the interest of not making it too confusing, I'm gonna call human Christine Chris, as that was and still is her online moniker, and is also a shortened version of Christine. Anyway, so Christine is practicing for a play that's going to take place at her elementary school where she's to play the Virgin Mary, despite looking more like one of the villains from the previous issue. Rojaru and Sarah are baking Christmas cookies, and Sonichu and Robbie are hanging up stockings by the fireplace. I find it curious that Christine is clearly named after what Chris wanted her daughter to be called, and Robbie is clearly named after her dad. So why is Sarah not named after her mother? In fact, I actually think that Sarah is named after one of Chris's old friends, Sarah, which was who Sarah Hammer was based on. Also, real quick, just because I couldn't find a place to put this in the documentary, but in my research I found out that Sarah's boyfriend, and I think also husband at this point, Wes Isley, is this dude here from Penn and Teller Foolers. I'm not even kidding.
I said, Dad, who was that guy? He said, oh, it's a magician friend of mine. Magicians can make money appear out of thin air. I want that job.
Anyway, after finishing hanging up the stockings, Robbie exclaims that he has wished for the, at the time, new Wii Olympic game with Uncle Sonic. Isn't Sonichu Sonic? Didn't Sonic get turned into Sonichu by crashing into a Pikachu? Anyway, Robbie keeps going on about how he also wants Sonichu and Rojaru and all the others to get what they wanted for Christmas too, but Sonichu is adamant that they've already gotten their presents, which is being blessed with their 3 children, whom we can actually only assume actually did come from some magical source, considering Rojaru was at no point pregnant. Also, how much do you want to bet that Chris honestly believes that she is indeed the best gift possible, the gift that just keeps on giving to her parents? So every year her parents just splurge on all these expensive things for Chris, and Christine is just like,
I am the gift.
And her parents are like, cool. Can we return it? In the kitchen, Sarah and Rojaru are working on their cookies, and we get that bit of writing that I've also missed from Chris, being her obsessive need to go into depth about goddamn everything. It's not, hey, I made this cookie in the shape of a candle because I heard my friend was Jewish. No, it's, I made this cookie specifically for Kevin in my class who is Jewish. I made the candle with frosting for the wax, and the flame and I also made it only a vanilla cookie to keep it neutral to avoid risks of allergies from the other flavors. Whomst the fucketh careth? Listen, it's fine if you want to spice it up to tell something about the character or add some personality into it, but this isn't what that is. This is a fucking encyclopedia being read aloud. Speaking of writing tips, I feel this page here is excellent to talk about voice bubbles in. Now, I know for a fact that Chris has given the structure of a voice bubbles less thought than I have on hair products, but this is still mostly common sense we are battling with here. So, seeing these 3 voice bubbles here are at the same height, you would assume you would read them from left to right. But if you do that, you end up with a mess, cause apparently you're supposed to read them from right to left. Why? Beats the shit out of me. Next up is the fact that the text bubble with yes in it is so freaking huge, and it's seemingly overlapping with Rojaru's voice bubble that it looks like the yes is Sonichu interrupting Rojaru. Third, there's this little extension here which typically infers you're supposed to read that portion a little later. It can be because of an action or someone else saying something, so you don't have a massive separate voice bubble, but it actually looks like a conversation. Well, I don't actually know if the yes is Rojaru responding to what Sonichu said, or if it's Sonichu responding to what Rojaru said. And it is, lastly, extra dumb because the same issue happens at the bottom of the page with Christine saying she's finished memorizing her lines in the far right bubble, and then you go to the left and up to hear Sonichu's reply, then further left to read Rojaru's response, and then lastly end with the bottom left one. All of this just from saying that it's about to snow. This is gonna go on my list of ever-increasing bad ideas that I've had, isn't it? Anyway, Christine does her lines that I'm just gonna skip cause who actually cares, and then Sonichu returns with the groceries he headed out getting at the other page. Oh god, this feels like we're returning to Rascals where nothing fucking happens. Anyway, Sonichu starts removing the snow from their front porch by spinning around a bunch and then finishes off with a hot shower. A few days later, Sarah finds herself at her friend Kevin's place where they start playing Call of Duty World at War. Despite I could have sworn that Chris didn't want any games that were 18 plus, but who cares? Anyway, Sarah turns out to be dominating and Kevin's spirit is crushed when Sarah manages to get as many points as Call of Duty currently takes up space in gigabytes on your PC. To which Sarah says, "Oh, chill out, Kevy. It's only a game. You can't be so attached to a set of digital pixels." This comes from a person who cannot differentiate between real life and fiction, who had a mental breakdown when a con for a cartoon centered around horses got cancelled, and who legit requested deaths upon people for making a character's arms blue. So, and I'm not making this up, because Sarah destroyed Kevin in such an extraordinary fashion, the kid gets fucking PTSD that is so severe that just seeing the flame on the top of the candle that Sarah baked, it makes him panic and break the candle. Sarah, distraught by this, returns home where she's moping around on her bed, and Maggie-chan, that I'm apparently pronouncing wrong and I'm sorry for that, decides to just completely impose on Sarah's privacy by reading her mind and tries to console her after what happened. He does kind of a shit job at it though, as Sarah asks if her and Kevin's fondness will survive this disaster, to which Maggie-chan explains that, well, no, it won't. Jesus, calm down, girl. What are you, fucking 10? Shouldn't you be worryingly obsessed about Korean pop stars or whatever kids do these days? 2 days later, Sonichu and Robbie are out walking when they bump into a lady who's crying. And if you've ever worried about your dialogue feeling stilted, allow me to present to you the epitome of stilted dialogue. "Hello, ma'am. I could not help but notice your moment of torment and sadness. What is the matter?" "Well, child, I lost my job and I was just evicted for not making rent for the month. I am freezing, lost and frazzled." "Oh my, that is most distressing. I would feel the same if I had nowhere to call home." Like, it's so awkward and terrible. People don't talk like that. This is an arm's length away from, "Hey gods, I see a fair maiden with the short hair and fat booty over yonder. Pray she giveth me her number." Sonichu's dialogue isn't much better, but he still manages to offer the girl to stay in a soup hotel. A soup hotel. I had to look this up, but apparently this is a made-up thing that Chris has come up with where the homeless people would stay. Each soup hotel would be 10 stories tall with about 10 to 20 rooms per floor, each room equipped with single bathrooms, beds, lighting, and cable television. Bro, the dorm I used to live at, some of those apartments didn't even have fucking bathrooms, and those people paid rent. Chris, not understanding how money worked, big surprise when remembering how she managed to spend almost $1,000 on Skylander figurines when she was close to getting evicted aside, Sonichu calls the girl a cab to go to the before mentioned soup hotel, and they just start sharing life stories for whatever fucking reason. Sonichu talks about how his life was hard because after his transformation, the Pikachus wouldn't welcome him back into the fields, he had no home, and that he had to live off of berries. Which just raises so many goddamn questions, because then it becomes like, does Sonichu have a social security number? Does Sonichu have a job? Can Sonichu vote? So Sonichu sends the lady on her way after they have had a contest in comparing who's the most miserable, like it was some angsty teenager at an anime con. Following that, Sonichu and Robbie dash as they are about to be late for a play. We then move on to follow Blake, the black Sonichu, and Bubbles, who are out walking. That's when a black man walks up and says, "Happy Kwanzaa, brother," to Blake, which sends him into a fit of rage, exclaiming, "Again? How many times must I be mistook for African American? I'm black only by genetic accident. I had nothing against the holiday and the people and their heritage, but come on! Does my fur look like sunburned color? Heck no! There are online creators who has the skill of tiptoeing around topics such as racism and such with the skill of a trained ballet dancer. And then there's me, whose main function seems to be to place my foot firmly in my mouth. So I'm not gonna comment on this, and I'm just gonna say that all he did was wishing you happy Kwanzaa, dude. I feel you might have some issues here that you might want to work out. Anyway, Bubbles calm Blake down, and Blake explains how he just gets so fired up when given that greeting, even if it only happens 2 or 5 times a year. And Bubbles replies, "Just take it one moment at a time, honey. It's all anyone can do." Like he's some fucking survivor of some sort of attack, like... Hey man, nice hat. Oh, so that's how it's gonna be. You wanna fucking go? You wanna throw down, bitch? You think I'm afraid of you just because I'm wearing a hat to hide my receding hairline? Is that it? So, since me last touching Sonichu, a lot of people have commented that I was surprisingly lenient with how Simone was an obvious reference to the Simone from the greatest piece of fiction ever written by a human being, and I will cage fight anyone who disagrees, Gurren Lagann. And the reason for this is actually simple. I hadn't watched Gurren Lagann at that point in time. I'm about to blow your mind. I actually didn't like Gurren Lagann at first. Can you imagine? Now that I do know of Gurren Lagann and know that Simone is a reference to it, I can be appropriately upset about her inclusion. Or rather, I would be if I didn't know she was originally someone else, called Evan's character, that was submitted to Chris as a fan character. At that point, it was Simonechu, but then Chris slapped some tits on her and thus we got Simone. Later, Evan didn't agree to Chris using his character like this and thus asked for her to kill Simone off so she could be removed from the comic. Chris, who can't separate real life from fiction, called this absolutely monstrous and would do no such thing. That's when Evan turned to Chris's kryptonite. The gay! Evan bought ad space on Chris's website and used it to display oversized pro-gay ads on the site. And sure enough, it worked and Chris agreed to killing of Simone as we saw in the last issue. Except lol JK, she's actually not dead, and the doctors deduce that she has something called simitanium in her blood that allows her to heal. You'd be right in asking how the fuck they didn't figure this out when they were testing her blood when she first got hospitalized, considering she'd obviously have needed a blood transfusion from being blown up. But what the fuck do I know? So Simone is back. The really deep and well-written character Simone is back. Okay, anyway, the first order of business now that Simone is no longer hospitalized is, for whatever fucking reason, to dunk on the Amish people. Yeah, I don't know why either. I wonder though, with those bad men in Amish country, do they get to celebrate Christmas? What the fuck are the Amish bad? Whom's the fuck has the Amish ever heard? Wild explains to Simone that the Amish actually celebrates 2 Christmases, to which Simone asks what they give each other when they can't give modern tech. Friendly reminder that Christine full-on wanted complete strangers to buy her a limited edition PlayStation 4 for Christmas. Just gonna let that one sit for a while. So anyway, we're now off to the mountains where Maggie-chan and Sylvana are chilling around a campfire. Again, the text bubble structure is so poor that you'd have to make an active effort to try and make heads and tails and who's saying what when. Which is a crying shame when you have had the most beautiful romance on display with a conversation like this. Do you remember when you and I first crossed paths, Maggie-chan? I do remember, but at the risk of breaking the 4th wall, let's save that story for another time. I agree. Let's shut up, make out, and mate up. Yes, let's make this rock blow up. Pardon me for almost falling over, but that got me weak in the knees. The same night the Christmas play is taking place, and I know you might be wondering how the bitch Lucy from Bittersweet Candy Bowl found her way into this comic, but I can assure you it is, believe it or not her, but in fact a much worse written character. It's Christine. I think Chris just forgot to fill her with color. I for certain didn't know who the fuck it was until I tried to decipher the panel before that and saw it was only Christine and the dude who plays Joseph on the scene. Christine is panicking because it seems like she's about to evolve for whatever fucking reason. Doesn't a Pikachu only evolve when you introduce it to a Thunderstone, or am I tripping? Anyway, she darts off to evolve as her dress is ruined. Rojaru tries to console her while Sonichu darts home to get some clothes. Christine, however, is very down in the dumps because, as she says, no one has such a growth spurt happen in the middle of their acting career. It's almost like the laws and normalcy of this comics world hasn't been established at all. Also, come on now, it's a school play for kids. You could fucking throw up on baby Jesus right there and the parents would still applaud you. Calm the fuck down. Now, I know what you're thinking. There's only one thing that can save the situation. Something that transcends fiction and reality. Something daring, something fitting, something poignant that can really ground this moment so we, the audience, can feel what emotions Christine is going through. And you best believe Chris nails it right on the head with the perfect answer. Britney fucking Spears. Yeah? I'm not kidding. Rojaru and Christine just start singing Britney Spears' song, I'm Not a Girl, Not Yet a Woman. Not, anything Christmassy, not something to fit the scene. No, sing some Britney Spears, cause fuck it. So, by the power of... They managed to pull Christine out of her funk and get her back in her clothes so she can return on stage, while Sonichu is going on another one of those needlessly long explanations about shit that no one cares about, nor would be paid to care about. Christine returns on stage where she's twice the size of the other children and then disrobes to break into song. Did they bring a fucking lab coat or whatever just so she could do that reveal? Also, I didn't know that the story of the birth of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, involved a striptease, but for whatever reason, no one is really puzzled why this giant purple lady is now suddenly on stage next to the kids. Also, I'm not saying anything, but Sonichu is yellow and Rojaru is pink, and mixing pink with yellow is gonna give you an orangey peach color. So, how did you guys manage to have a purple baby again? I mean, if the color mixing thing is actually applicable here, the only way for Rojaru to give birth to something of that purple color would be if she hooked up with the Futanari character Sylvana. Oh, Rojaru, you got some splaining to do. Anyway, after the play, Sarah meets up with Kevin to apologize for triggering his PTSD with her candle cookie, which is now a sentence I've said once in my life, and wishes to make amends by offering Kevin some dreidel cookies. Kevin, however, replies with, "You see, Sarah, not only does death and flames scare me, then maybe you shouldn't be playing a first-person shooter, you ball-cut having ass bitch. But disloyalty and misconduct from my friends can result in a similar result." Fuck you, kid. She handed you the victory. Go kick rocks with that. I have learned to appreciate teamwork and good sportsmanship, and when a teammate or a friend acts rash without thoughts or concern of their team and friends, I'm afraid that is a court-martial for that person. That's neither how you spell that nor what a court-martial is. I did like you, Sarah, but the aggressive actions you displayed proved too much even for me. I think we should see other people. Kid, you're fucking 9. Fuck out of here. I thank you for being a friend and playing with me, and I wish you good luck in growing up and maturing more as well as in your life. Goodbye, soldier. Why is this kid that looks like this kid here talking like he's in the army when the kid can't even deal with seeing a candle flame? Not a real flame, mind you. No, a fucking cookie made to look like a flame. This is the exact kind of bitch who would grow up and then start working for Kotaku. Anyway, Sarah bursts out crying because Kevin dumped her. Calm down, girl. You're like a literal infant. Go play Among Us or flee in fear from Smash players or whatever toddlers do these days. Anyway, Christine comes to help cheer up Sarah along with Robbie, and no one is finding it the least bit strange that this baby is upset that a boy broke up with her. Anyway, it's finally the 25th, the day after Christmas if you're part of the Nordic Viking race, and everything seems to be great. Obviously, a big focus is put on the gifts people get because Chris is materialistic like that, and an equally big focus is put on how all the adults seem to be in a happy relationship. Even Punchy and Satan seems to be hitting it off now that they have broken up with their individual partners. Simone is curious where Chris is, as she is usually there to celebrate Christmas with them. That is when Rojaru decides to drop the bomb that Chris is now a girl. She explains,
Yes, in 2014, Christian had many self-revelations towards his soul and identity. He realized, for true, his soul has always been female. Christian took to her pronoun change, and in the passing months, legally changed her name to Christine, as well as begun her physical transformation.
The physical transformation that consisted of taking sex toy eggs and putting them on her nipples and then listening to binaural beats. I kind of feel that Chris is the type of person who would cure a gunshot wound in the foot by rubbing her neck with aloe vera.
But she still remains attracted to women. Christine Weston Chandler is a lesbian trans woman. After returning from 2015, our past Christian had taken this time in mentally and emotionally readjusting. October, she had fully realized herself. She consulted with Megachan, Sonichu, and I in confidence. She took to getting a jump on it early. She has met with a counselor, talked with her doctor, and Megachan has begun helping speed up her transformation. She has been feeling more happy with herself along the way too.
And this is all well and good, except that, this Christmas special is apparently taking place in December 2008. So by Rose's own story, Chris won't transition for another 6 years. Consider this your obligatory reminder that Las Lindas actually easily have way more contradictions and plot holes than this series does. Just wanted to throw it out there because I'm a petty bitch. So, because the topic is now on Chris, it's time to grind the story to a halt and talk about her some more. Sonichu elaborates on what Rojaru just said by saying, "The news blew me away too. Y'all know when I was not fond of the internet trolls for mislabeling us and Christine. Now I have misspoke why I disliked them. I was really upset for the males of the lot being gay. I was mainly upset at them for the mislabelings and for being harassing bullies." No, you weren't. Sis, you were trying to find the cure for being gay. Personally, I never had any ill will towards the gays and the LGBTQ communities too. The cure for being gay. I was neutral with lack of better knowledge of them. No, you absolutely weren't. And the difference in between, but they're all still individual people. I only detested the bad people alone. The bad people you were dealing with were all straight, by the way. The gays, they are okay people. Nothing wrong with what they do. All of that has never been my thing, but I do not judge them, nor ever meant to judge them on their lifestyles and choices. And with Christine being part of the LGBTQ communities, Rosie and I have learned for the better and have become most proud supporters and allies. Hell, even my next door neighbor is a lesbian, but we hired her to be our babysitter based on her skill sets and references from other local parents. Now there's absolutely some kudos to be given about Chris growing up and realizing her mistakes and growing to appreciate and accept the LGBTQ plus community. But then again, this is the exact same person who then later sicked her entire fan base, specifically the homophobes within it, on an LGBTQ plus creator with the intent of them mocking her and calling her slurs.
I mean, yeah, everybody who is a homophobe, go ahead and call them on it. call Ahuvia a goddamn homo. Homo. I'm a homo.
So much for being accepting, huh? Rojaru continues.
And as such, we continue to have open hearts for Christine and treat her no different than before. She's still the same person we have always known, only more feminine. Light giggle. Please refer to Christine with the female pronouns, and I'd stay away from asking any personal questions to her unless she says such a topic is okay. There are guides and resources online to educate yourselves with. The Human Rights Campaign, HRC, is a good place to start. Asterisk deep breath that's missing the last asterisk.
Hey, so this is great and all, but maybe we could continue with the whole Sonichu advent.
Anyhow, Christine has been undergoing the beginnings of her transition and all. She has had her emotions and more stress after being back in the office, so she retired from being mayor and gave the job back to Allison, staying on course as head advisor. And Christine is still on call to help and defend the city with us. So, to answer your question, Wild, she's at home keeping it a simple holiday and mentally/emotionally healing. She continues to keep us all very close in her heart.
Upon hearing this, Wild suggests that they go and celebrate Christmas at Chris's place to welcome her home from her time-traveling journey. Everyone agrees, even this person that no one asked nor know who is. Anyway, the Rojaru and Sonichu then spend half a year walking over to Chris's place to celebrate her, so it would seem as it's clearly at least summer in the background. Rojaru even baked the cake, which is oddly impressive for such an impromptu visit, but what do I know? Blake, being the charmer that he is, decides to immediately compliment Chris on her tits. Upon being told not to get any ideas, Blake immediately gets flustered and looks like he's about to shit himself. Then again, this comic version of a god basically seemed like she got angry with him, so who can blame him?
I'm a merciful god. A merciful god with big tits and a short temper.
They then all pose in front of Chris's house, where Chris has done her best to Photoshop both her mom and her late dad into frame, which, you know, is honestly really sweet. That Christine took the time to learn how to Photoshop, albeit poorly, to include her mom and dad into her comic that clearly means the world to her. It's this really nice gesture that I feel encapsulates how much she truly cares about her parents. And then she does the same to Photoshop her Transformer figurine into the frame as well. Everything about this comic is one step forward and then a back.
Hey Ron. Hey Billy. That hurt.
So anyway, the next chapter begins with a parade saying SLGBTQ, where the S apparently stands for straight. So we're celebrating everyone, I guess. We then move on to West Virginia, where Sonichu, because it wasn't enough on a front to God to have one Simone character in there, is bumping into Voltov's underground. We get what I think is a flashback to Maggie-chan preventing Simone from murdering his sister Simone. Not entirely sure when that happened, but whatever. It also seems like Simone has no clue, as she's sending Sonichu an email telling him that she's made a full recovery and wants him to come over. Sonichu decides to take her up on the offer and decides to dig his way to them. We get another flashback to Sonichu getting trial, where the court sentenced the culprits to reside in an Amish community with no technology access. Seriously, where the fuck does this hate for the Amish people come from? I don't get it. Also, all of their possessions were to be sold at an auction, so it's kind of a double whammy how Sonichu was able to get that email, seeing he isn't supposed to be in possession of technology and he was supposed to hand over his phone. Anyway, back to the present. Sonichu is welcomed in by Simone and the two of them seem to get along very well. That's when Sandy, Simone's daughter, comes in and spots Sonichu going, "Uncle Simon? Mom, get away from that! Male!" Why is she phrasing her outburst like that? Why is it such a bad thing that he's a guy? Isn't it a worse thing that, I don't know, he made an attempt on your mom's life? Speaking of Simone, she's having none of it and scolds Sandy for trying to attack Sonichu. The comic then takes a full page spread to, for whatever fucking reason, have Sandy exclaim, "That's right, I have a middle name, Samantha, and if you or anyone calls me Dad, Sam, Sammy, or anything similar after being warned once, you'll die with horn drill."
Bitch, you emotional?
Who the fuck called you Sam or Sammy? Bro, calm down. Anyway, Sammy is flipping her whole ass, but is interrupted when Wild comes home because his jungle sense was tingling. So that's what we're calling it now? Okay, I see you. Wild spots Sonichu and seems to be ready to attack him when Simone exclaims, "Enough!" and fucking power stances on them. She curses the two out for being mean to Sonichu, even though they're doing it because they were under the impression that Sonichu killed her with a bomb, and she then says she expects the both of them to forgive her brother as well. But that's not something you expect of people. That is some extremely personal shit that they have to work out amongst themselves. You can't just demand people forgive someone just because you tell them to. Also, by the way, Sonichu just knocked the fuck out despite we never see anyone attacking him, so there's that, I suppose. So, because the comic's written by someone with the mental capacity of a child, Sonichu is immediately forgiven, and half an hour later they're sitting around the table sharing stories. Hey, by the way, remember how I brought up Evan before? Well, that's a little thing we call foreshadowing, cause now it's time for Chris to shit all over Evan, the original creator of Sonichu. Sonichu claims that he was caught by Evan as a Sony and was then force evolved to something of their MS Paint design. No, I got no idea what they mean with this. I'm too busy trying to figure out how this shit works out. So, hold on. So, Sonichu was a Sony, which is a baby Sonichu, meaning it would have to be birthed by a Sonichu and or Rojaru, correct? And he was then kidnapped as a kid and kept in captivity up until he tried to kill Simone. But then, how does this shit work? Like, if he was force evolved into a Sonichu thing, how come Simone turned into a Rojaru thing similar to him? Where did this Sonichu Sony even come from if Sonichu is the original? Does that make Sonichu his son? And why is Simone so lackadaisical about meeting Sonichu when she shouldn't have seen him for pretty much all of their life? How does she even recognize him? How does she have his phone number? He was turned into this form without her knowing. There's not enough gin in the world for this, I swear. Sonichu keeps telling his story about how he was being tortured and kept mentally dumb by watching videos of the seriously mentally challenged. He then contacted Simone and sent her a video of the trolls torturing him. How he got this recorded and sent to Simone, I got no idea, because he then goes on to say how he had to steal one of the trolls' iPhones to get a reply from her. Could you not just have used whatever you used to send the email in the first place? If you sent this footage through the stolen iPhone, why are you phrasing it like you first had to steal it after the fact? Anyway, after the 4-cent garbage building got destroyed in the previous volume, some of the trolls escaped, with Sonichu still in the Pokeball. Here, Sonichu explains that Alec, Evan, Mao, and Sean plotted to kill Chris's Sonichus and Rosechus. You know, the people who Chris tried to give a very half-assed forgiveness to?
And, apologize to Mao. Here's a forgiveness blessing. Forgiveness blessing. There you go.
Yeah, just straight up depicting them as murderers now, cause fuck it. He explains how they plan to murder all the Sonichus and Rosechus and says, "I was totally paralyzed with fear, but I was obligated to my master's orders. I'm not a bad Pokemon." So, you agreed to do domestic terrorism, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yada fucking yada. He had a bad time. It sucked that his niece and brother-in-law was being mean to him. He dug up a fucking rock. And we move on to Wild offering the rock to Lucifer, the ruler of the demons. Apparently the plan is that Reginald, this fucking abomination here, is gonna evolve using the rock. So in return for Samuel, the Tempter's rock of personal evolution and growth, Reginald repays her with big vanilla cookies. Bro, if it had been me, I would have fucking folded that kid. Surprisingly, which it shouldn't be, because it's literally the rock's fucking purpose and why it was given to Reginald in the first place, Reginald evolves into... I got nothing. It's probably some Pokemon I don't know about, but you cannot honestly tell me a Pokemon this ugly exists. I can handle it as a Pokemon that's just a keychain and one that's a scoop of ice cream, but this? No, I'm drawing the line here. Apparently, Reginald trashes the place, and when Abaddon, the destroyer here, wants to help him because he's hurt himself, that's when Reginald replies, "No, you can't, not like this, I am far gone. Now the docile Reginald you fell for is no more. I've evolved against my own will." Fucking bullshit? Bro, you got a fucking rock with the explicit purpose of evolving you. What did you think was gonna happen? You were gonna get access to the magic chocolate factory or something for that fucking thing? And then it just pieces out. Beelzebub tries to convince him to stay, but nope, dude's fucking gone. But, you know, this kind of dramatic and important moment isn't shown as we left with Chris explaining. And then Reginald exited. You gotta love how it's just, he exited, like the dude fucking walked off stage or something. Angelica felt more despondent. She rested the night's remainder before alerting her sister nuns of her need of help cleaning up. Aside from that, I felt need to interrupt as I had neglected to title this episode, so here's the title. And this single episode has been brought to you by loyal Sonichu and Rojaru fan VBB. He also donated very well. Oh, so that's where we're at in the timeline. Gotcha. Anyway, the episode is called Sonichu and Banana Funckel, and I mean, she's got to have known, right? Surely she must have known this looks like a pickle, right? Guess it hasn't been made clear. For whatever reason, Chris hates pickles. I don't know why. I think it's something to do with the shape being similar to penises or something. I don't fucking know. So Sonichu and Sandy has gone to the museum with a fossil that Sonichu found, and it turns out it's a brand spanking new Pokemon called the Bananasaur. And it looks like this. Just Now, okay, don't hate me or anything, I'm just throwing it out there, but sometimes it's best to just make them sleep before they feel more pain, you know? Just take it behind a shed or something. You can use this. Sandy is complex that she can't understand what this affront to God is saying, but Punchy for some reason can. Oh, and he's here now, by the way, and he's totally cool with Sonichu as well, despite, you know, not knowing his story or that Simone has forgiven him or that he's no longer out to get Simone, but, you know, details. So... the little abomination explains to Punchy that he was listening to AC/DC before getting hit by a car. Next thing he knows, he's out of an egg trying to convince the lady at the museum that he is late for a video gameplay with his friends. Just a reminder, this person came out of a fossil. Don't pay no attention to this. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this. This is just a placeholder. Don't worry about this. This has nothing to do with what I'm saying. So, Punchy feeds the assault to the senses a strawberry Pocky, which then transforms it into its second form. Would it not make more sense for a banana flavored Pocky? Considering it's called a Bananasaurus and it looks like a fucking banana? You wouldn't even have to do anything, just say it's banana flavor instead of strawberry. How the fuck? Anyway, Punchy still wants the kiss of death made manifest to stay with him. On the way there, we see yet another prime example of the worst text bubbles you have ever seen, cause this part over here, yeah, that's not its own separate thing. It's connected to this part over here. So it becomes, before I knew it, I had gone from being human to being a fruit-shaped dragon. How were you human before? Hello? Not gonna tackle that one at all? Before this, I was a high school senior skateboarder and expert rad gamer. Loved the heavy metal and hard rock. I'd hang with my buds, and I kissed a few girls. Recently cheated Caitlin to get with Henry, and I was a B- average student. I had more to earn, but now I have to rush adjust to this new life. I guess I got what I deserved. My name is John C. Surprising a grand total of fuck all, Punchy's girl isn't too fond of suddenly having a gobbling banana monster staying with them. I would use her name, but the fact of the matter is I have forgotten it, and even though there is a big panel where Punchy introduces David and her to each other, he never mentions her name. The next day, for whatever reason, it's time for David to make an egg. Not, boil an egg or an omelette, but inseminate a girl so she can lay an egg. So Punchy brings him to a ditto and they have sex, and an hour later they already got a pair of big yellow eggs. There's no narrative importance to this. I just figured if I had to suffer through this, then so did you. Punchy brings David to his dojo in which they spar, and David keeps getting his shit pushed in. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, it just doesn't look great. I will say though that at one point David picks up a skateboard and decides to want to fight with that, to which Punchy gets really irritated because no skateboards are allowed in the dojo, which is fair. But the dude is clearly wearing shoes. When I practiced karate, my sensei would, no hyperbole, push kick you out through the fucking door if you tried entering the dojo with shoes. And I know he's not the only one. Anyway, when Punchy and David returns home, the girl, who we now know is called Layla, has packed her suitcase because she's annoyed that Punchy took in a person in need. Yeah. And so she moves out and tells Punchy never to contact her ever again. David tries to console Punchy, to which Punchy responds, "Yeah, give me lots of time to recover, then ask me again, Banana Harbor." I think there's a cultural barrier here, because calling someone a banana hopper where I'm from isn't a cute nickname. Then the weirdest fucking thing happens. Chris pops through a time gate to say we kinda have to rush through the remaining episodes as there's only 2 pages left. Layla goes on to some center where she bumps into the whisperer of the Fowl's ex's boyfriend Reginald, and they immediately hook up and move in together cause that's how relationships work. Then there's this scene where Punchy is realizing maybe David is kind of a dick to have as a roommate, but what I'm more interested in is that for some reason Chris seems to have written part of the narration in this frame here, but then scrapped it and then instead decided to write it down here. Why the text is still up here, I got no idea. And the episode ends with Maggie-chan talking about how an evil plot against the SLGBTQ Pride Festival of 2009 was stopped due to Chris's protection, which is the literal only relation to the cover art of the Pride thing we saw earlier. But we're not quite done yet. Because after a terribly dumb ad, we get a behind the scenes prologue. Don't know what that means? Me neither, but I guess we'll find out. So we see Sylvana getting a spa treatment, thinking to herself about how great Chris is, and basically hypes her up to a ludicrous extreme while saying, "This is not biased." You're literally made by this person. The things that are coming out of your brain are actually written by the person you're hyping up. There has never been a case where anyone has been more biased in the entire world than you. Sylvana is interrupted and is told to get on set, and she transforms into Sonic. We then move on to the Quebecville shopping center where Sonichu and Rojaru bumps into Sonic, whom I can only assume is Sonic and not Sylvana, as Sonic's thinking to himself how he's happy to finally get a break from Amy. They're free to talk, and I challenge any and all of you to see if you can figure out the order of these text bubbles, because there's no rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, and it makes my brain hurt. Sonic and Sonichu sit down and catch up on, life, bro. And Sonichu starts talking about how the bully situation has been going. without being prompted to. And for whatever reason, when we get a flashback to this event happening, we get a temperature counter as well. But it doesn't play any role whatsoever to the story. Anyway, Robbie's getting bullied by this guy who looks like a thumb. When his insults doesn't work, he decides to try and get the attention of a cop to get him involved. Failing to get the cop's attention, he decides to get it by kissing a boy on the mouth. The cop then turns out to be a jerk cop, which is an underling of the evil Lord Graduon, who doesn't want any of this whole love business going on. But you can clearly see the bully did not expect any of this, so what even was his plan here? Anyway, Sarah kicks the shit out of the jerk cop and evolves. We then continue to Sonichu and Sonic talking, where Sonichu just casually refers to someone called Roberta. It turns out that Robbie also evolved, and after this decided she was trans, and that's fine, but we don't get to see that. And Sonichu's been calling her Robert all the time, so is Sonichu just fucking dead naming his own child here? What the fuck? And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but we never get to see Roberta's transformation, nor do we get to see her for the rest of this volume. I almost feel like Chris didn't want this to take the focus away from her coming out as trans, and wanted all the attention to remain on her. What? Chris being self-absorbed and wanting all of the attention and spotlight on her? Crazy thought, I know. Oh, would you look at that, Chris is here. A big shocker. Sonic wonders where he's seen her before, to which Sonichu replies, "You are the Sonic, young winner of that KB toy shopping spree in Virginia of 1994. Or perhaps you're a fan and creator of this sapper here." This comic takes place in 2009. Sonichu wants Sonic to remember the winner of a local contest in a specific toy store that took place 15 years ago. Sonic has an issue understanding what's going on, refusing to believe that Chris is actually the same as the one he remembers. So obviously we get a flashback to what Chris has been up to since the previous episode. We see her in her action hang outfit after defeating Slavil in the former episode, coming to the realization that she is in fact a woman. After coming to this realization, she's transformed physically into a woman as well, complete with a pair of big honking mummy milkers and a thick badonkadonk. Then, because a new Pokemon game had come out at the time, all 7 crystals floated up into the moonlight and transformed into 1,000,000 fragments and then returned as a special gem, a Megastone. Or more specifically, a Christianotype in the what? Christianotype. Fuck it. Anyway, it seems like this stone landed at several Sonichus and Rosechus that allowed them to transform into their ultimate form. Chris continues to elaborate. "I was still a male human body after all that from that night. I felt disappointed, but it made me think though, and Maggie-chan confirmed the functions inside my new female Sonichu form. So, mix me A with mix me B, yada yada yada. I gave birth to Russell, Sunny, and Cynthia Rosie." So, Chris somehow managed to impregnate herself and through that gave birth to a Sonny and Rosie. That's what it says in the script. But because she wasn't ready for parenthood, she gave them to someone called Heather Iglesias. It's a little odd of a stance to have considering she considers herself the mother of Sonichu and Rosechu.
So that was a fucking lie.
After telling her story, Chris decides to dip, leaving Sonichu and Sonic talking about how they'll take their talk to the food court, and for some odd reason, making a big deal out of moving all the groceries and using a shopping cart to carry it. And believe it or not, that's where we end off today. Yep, that's the end of Sonichu Volume 11. It just kind of stops. Chris just fucking dips the moment she's gotten out of the comic what she wanted, which is clearly just to highlight the fantastical lore that is her life. I don't get it. Anyway, follow me in the next video where we are going to cover Sonichu Volume 12. I'll see you guys in the next Webcomic Relief. Take care.
It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt, someone gets hurt, someone gets hurt. It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt, someone gets hurt.
We are now fully back. Oh my god, we are back with Sonichu. I never thought I was going to say it, but here we fucking are. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoy the little bips and bobs that has changed with the show, with the audio and the way that we present it. We did a little bit of it in the last Stripping episode, but I realize now that that's been a while since that one came out, due to the last video took so long to produce. So yeah, but yeah, I still hope that you like this. Yeah. In terms of news, there's a little bit. First of all, in case you haven't seen, we had a little stream the other day where we talked about how the Webcomic Relief is going to be going forward, and there was a bunch of good suggestions that I'm going to be trying to implement in the show going forward. One of those things is, as you may have noticed, that me and my great friend Cloudy Days are now doing a podcast every Wednesday. And you can catch that live on Twitch if you're interested. But other than that, you can always catch the podcast on all sorts of streaming platforms. Spotify, Apple, Google, you name it. We should be everywhere. And basically we talk about everything and nothing. We try to always circle back in terms of like talking about creativity and just producing content and stuff. But also like the latest one, we talked about the news about Homestuck and everything that's been going on with that. So if you want more Webcomic Relief, join Webcast Relief and go listen to the podcast. I'm having a lot of fun creating it, if nothing else. We will also be doing a whole lot more where we try and implement my social media into the thing. So by all means, go follow me on all my different social medias. Follow me on Twitter. I think we have a subreddit up. I'm now also on TikTok. So if anyone is interested in teaching this boomer how that shit works, you can find me at WCR_Riser or WCR Riser. I actually don't know. I will put it at the end of this video. But yeah, I think that was it. So, oh right, fuck, I forgot. I moved. I have moved since the last episode, so that's why this one took so long. Just because, like, I had to pack everything down, pack everything out, get settled, you know. And I was originally going to be waiting on a green screen that I had ordered, but that thing got postponed by almost 2 months. So I had to improvise, and I'm actually kind of happy with what I ended up producing despite of that. But yeah, so that's a thing. Just figured I would let you guys know. But yeah, let's talk about the amazing people who has helped sponsoring this episode. Amocin. If you have watched this show for long enough, you will have heard the name Amocin before. This is the person who brought you the great adult webcomic Druids taking place in the Warcraft universe. They have now finished that comic, discarded the Warcraft setting, thankfully, and has set sails towards a new comic called Skylords. If this is something that you're interested in, please go and check the link out in the description. Nicholas Knudson. Nicholas hasn't gotten back to me about what it is that he wants me to push, so just know that this person is an amazing person and I appreciate the patronage. Rojaru. Rojaru doesn't have anything he wants me to push, so just know that he's a cool guy as well. The Bonsai. The Bonsai is an amazing artist and has finally opened up his Patreon. He's been working tirelessly for ages to bring you guys something amazing, and he's finally ready to reveal it. If you want to see what this genius has been working on, please go and pledge to his Patreon. The link will be in the description. Sebastian Vandborg. Sebastian wants me to push the Twitter account Curious Zelda, which has a rich plethora of cute and funny cat images. He doesn't own the account or anything, but he just likes cats, so there you go. Caesar. Caesar doesn't have anything he wants me to push, so just know that he is a really cool guy. Hugo Junstrand. When he's not making my super awesome title cards, Hugo is also making super sick animations that you can commission, as well as sick music that you can all find on his YouTube channel. If you want to listen to awesome music covers with stylish and unique animations to them, then swing by Hugo's channel and give him a sub. The link will be in the description. Luke McKay. Luke McKay, that we all know and love from his Rooster Teeth comics and Boss of That comic, is currently working on comics for D&D Beyond and has now taken over doing comics for the Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms game at codenameentertainment.com. So please go and check that out, the link will be in the description. Why Not Warrior? Why Not Warrior is working on a webcomic called Hope, which is about superheroes who get into trouble and have to save the galaxy from an evil empire known as Spade. When a young girl named Raylan gets targeted by an evil empire, she's accompanied by her friends to take them down and save the galaxy. So please, if this sounds like something you're interested in, check it out in the link that is in the description. And I also just want to give a huge shout out to Aflay, Alex J, Draker of Adrian, Hitori the Artist, KH Vafiel, Nina Ha, and Shiv. And also a huge, massive thank you to all the lovely people that you see right here. If you want to support the show, change my life, and make it so I can live off of YouTube and entertaining people, then please go to my Patreon. Here you can donate anything you want every month and you'll get a ton of awesome rewards for it. Just go to www.patreon.com/riser2eyes. You can also go to TeePublic and get your hands on some of the new Webcomic Relief merch. The link is in the description. If you want to watch me on Twitch, you can do so at www.twitch.tv/crownlessking. Here you'll also be able to catch me and Cloudy doing our new podcast live. If you don't want to support the show financially, at least think about liking the video, subscribing to the channel, or sharing your favorite Webcomic Relief episode with your friends. I'll see you guys in the next Webcomic Relief. Take care.